Hey guys, welcome back to Journey with Rebecca. So, in my last video I talked about how we are taking out a couple of gardens and work has begun on that. And so, today's day 2. Yesterday we started, well my husband started and I had to work all day, so I was unable to be here for much of the process, which means I didn't get to film anything. But we're getting kind of a late start to this morning, but I want to show you what we've gotten started so far. Before I show you where we are now, first let me show you what we started with. This side garden has been an eyesore since we moved in. It's overgrown, neglected, and impossible to maintain. And I've wanted to get it cleaned up for a while, but other things always took priority, and it became clear to me pretty quickly that I just wasn't going to be able to maintain all of the gardens we have here. This is the main garden that I'm concerned with right now. As you can see, it's a bit of a mess. We have to be careful over here because there's some water lines and stuff, so we can't dig too deep. But there were 2 big trees. There was one here and then there was one over here. Those are gone now. There was these bushes right here that are gone now that we need to get rid of, and then all of the rest of this green is going away, and the green all along the side and the back. Everything is just going. It's just a matter of actually getting it out of here. There was a lot of Rose of Sharon that started growing, so there's still a bunch of those that need to be taken out. And I did start saving some things. So that process started the other day, where I took some Lily of the Valley and some violets and some iris, and I put them out back where my vegetable garden is. I was able to fill in this whole area here. This is like the front where the gate is to my garden. And so there's some Lily of the Valley that I put over here, and then I have some violets that I put all over here, and then there's these little white flowers that are in here that I don't recall seeing before, but those are pretty. So I kept those there. I don't remember what those are called. And then when you walk into the garden gate, which this will all eventually be redone, it's just a matter of time. So all through here I planted iris, I think that's what they are, and I dug up a couple of hostas and got them all planted just to sort of fill in everything that's going on over here. And in the back here there's a ton of forget-me-nots that are just growing by my compost bin, so I just left those there and got this area all cleaned up. The stone grows a lot of weeds, so I got all of the weeds for the most part cleaned out and got this semi looking a little bit better, because it was looking pretty rough. You can see what a mess the yard is now. It's gonna be a disaster and look worse before it gets much better. So back up to this plot up here. This is actually where I plan on growing a bunch of fruit. So the plan for today is just to continue getting this all cleaned up. I am going to have to kill the weeds, but I also want to plant food here, and so I don't want to poison the soil that I'm going to be planting food in. So I don't entirely know how I'm going to go about doing that. My friend and neighbor suggested maybe doing raised beds in here, which actually is a really good idea. I do like the idea of doing a raised bed. It's just a cost factor that's involved with that, on top of the initial cost of getting this fruit plot started, which is going to, it's an investment. It's definitely an investment that's going to cost some money up front to get it started, but when you think about in the long run how that will provide for me, it's worth the cost of the investment. So that's the first part. This is where I'm starting today, to just sort of get this all cleaned up and get all of the greenery out of here that we're not keeping. And then I'll walk you over to our next disaster area. It's really is a mess, and I'll be honest, I had a bit of a meltdown yesterday and I cried because I'm very overwhelmed with the amount of work that has to happen in order for this to eventually look how we would like it to end up.
Again, let me show you what it looked like before we started digging everything up. These were beautiful gardens at one point in time, but they weren't properly maintained and quickly became overgrown and unmanageable. There are a lot of invasive plants in the beds that take over everything, and it's just difficult to get rid of them. So while it's sad to lose the potential of the beauty that could be here, it just isn't feasible to be able to maintain them.
So this is what's happening now. So this all right here is freshly pulled out, and I need to rehome this hellebore. And all of this was garden space, and it's just not anymore. As you can see, I've saved some of the plants, but a lot of them we're just not saving, and it's unfortunate, but we'll be planting new things, and it'll all be okay. So this flower over here, I need to separate that and rehome it. A lot of it is going to the garden bed that's up over here. So we are saving like this walkway here. That will be saved. But eventually our deck is going to go here because we have our pool that we just got last summer. We're going to open that up next weekend and get that all going, and then eventually we'll have our deck. So you can see, like, on the steps over here, all of these are plants that I plan on saving. So it's a matter of getting this all cleaned out, taking care of all of the things that we're not going to be using anymore, and then getting the ground level again so we can eventually get our deck in. A lot of work ahead of us.
I got right to work cleaning out all the plants and weeds in this side garden bed. It was full of cleavers, which are also known as sticky willy because it literally sticks to everything that it touches. And it had grown in and around everything, and there were multiple sources of it. I tried on multiple occasions to get this area cleaned out, but it just seemed like a losing battle without having heavy machinery to get it all out and start over. There was granite and metal all throughout this garden bed, which is a theme that runs throughout most outdoor spaces at our home. And there was a lot of black garden mat, which made it extremely difficult to get anything pulled out of there. The weeds and the plants had grown all through it. So having the machine to be able to dig it all up made it much easier to get rid of.
There's probably hundreds of these little baby Rose of Sharon trees that have planted themselves in here. Last summer I took a ton out and I gave a bunch of them away. I'm giving a bunch more away now. It's unfortunate that, we're getting rid of a perfectly good tree, but we just don't have any use for them, and they self-seed so readily that it's really hard to maintain an area that has these trees growing in them. So unfortunately these have to go.
We moved in 3 years ago this July, and I believe this is the third time that we've rented a machine, and we also get a dumpster every summer just for the amount of junk that was left behind by the previous owners that we have been left to take care of. And we're fortunate enough to have the resources to rent the machine and the skill of my husband who knows how to drive and work the machine. And now having this side by side helps with projects like this that always seem to be going on here. We have taken out several trees and have moved countless pieces of granite, and at some points it feels like we will never be done and it will never be how I envision it. But I actually saw a quote on the same day that we were doing all of this work that said, "A garden isn't a place, it's a journey." And that just seemed so fitting. This truly has been a journey, and we've come so far from what it looked like when we first moved in here. And I'm thankful to have old footage from previous videos that I've done of what it looked like to remind me of just how far we have come. And I'm thankful that my husband is willing to go along this journey with me and see through the process for all that I envision it to actually be someday. I mentioned earlier that I had cried the first day we started this project because I was just so overwhelmed with the amount of work that was ahead of us, and it just seemed impossible that we would ever be able to make progress and get this all done. We've done a lot of projects in the past 3 years, but this seems like it's one of the biggest ones.
The previous owners lived here for 30 years, and I imagine got right to work planting. So we're dealing with these really intricate root systems where everything has just grown into everything and just been completely taken over by years of just not maintaining things. And I'm trying to remind myself that once this is done, I won't have to do this particular job again. And also trying to remind myself of the fact that I've been wanting to do this for a couple years now, almost since we moved in. So I'm just trying to remember that as I'm thinking about all of the work that we have ahead of us for the next long while, that I wanted this. I wanted this. I'll remember that I wanted this. My husband has reminded me that I wanted this. It's 6 o'clock in the evening and we're just wrapping up now. It was a long, busy day, and I'm really surprised with the amount of work we were able to get done. My husband's just loading up the last of the granite now because of course there's more granite. Throwing that in the side-by-side and putting that in the back, and let's show you what we got done so far. So this is where the eventual fruit plot will go, and I don't think I ever mentioned, but we're also getting a generator, so the generator will go over in this corner. Another thing I didn't mention is the 5 free rain barrels that my husband just got. So I would like to hook up a rain barrel over here as well to have for a watering system, but I was able to get this all cleaned out, evened out. There's some bigger stones in the back that we will be reusing, but this space is cleaned out, and this was the one I was most worried about today, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. We still have a bit of the walkway, which we'll probably keep, but I'm really pleased with the work, how it looks, and everything I was able to get done. So that's it for over here, and then I'll take you back to the other stuff we were working on today. So this is a messy mess, but this is where our deck is going to go for the pool. So we got it, I didn't do much of any work over here. My husband was able to get all of this graded and cleaned and pulled out some tree roots, because when we put the pool in, we had to pull out 2 big walnut trees. So we pulled them all out, and again, a bunch of granite and a walkway over here. There's some stone left over that we will be using, but this is all pretty well done and taken care of, and I'm so pleased, because this is what made me cry last night, because I was so stressed out, and I was so glad that my husband took care of this and I didn't have to deal with any of this over here. So that's it for today. That was an extreme amount of work, and it feels really good because this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm really thankful that we were able to get it done. I can hear the cat crying behind me. It's dinner time for them as well. I do have some plants that we removed that I need to get planted other places, but I ended up having to sacrifice and just be okay with getting rid of things. And you know, some stuff will get replaced and some stuff just won't. But I really appreciate you taking this journey with us, and I'm looking forward to documenting it and seeing the progress as we make progress and headway with this project. So thank you for spending time with me today, and I will see you guys soon. Toby, Carl, is it dinner time? Is it time for dinner? Are you hungry? Yeah? Okay.